Hey Sagittarius, welcome to your end of year reflections reading, where we'll take a peek at events and lessons learned over the past year and how you can best transition into 2023. So let's start first by pulling a couple of oracle cards to see what energy is surrounding this reading for you guys. And for my Sagittarius collective, the first card that came out for you is Kitchen Witchery Recipes. And let's pull another and see what other energies are surrounding you. And the first message that popped in my head was secret sauce. So we'll see how that fits in. But we have that followed up by two cards that came out. We have Voyage and we also have Leadership. So for my Sagittarius collective out there, you have a bit of an interesting mashup of energies that came out for this reading. So with recipes, it almost feels like you have been trying to find that special blend of spices and seasonings that make your life what it is that you want it to be. I think that a lot of you have been focused on finding that perfect balance for your personal life and also your professional life, or however it is that you make money. I almost feel as though for a lot of you, there's a desire to broaden your horizons, to explore the world. And I do sort of feel that's in a physical sense for a lot of you. There's this sense of wanderlust that's creeping up. Like you're on the internet and you see all of these different places. Maybe you get on YouTube and you watch videos of people traveling to different countries, but it feels as though there's some sort of thought of like, how can I do this? How can I travel more? What does it look like in terms of the finances? What does it look like in terms of the time that I need to spend away from things? Like, how can I make this happen? But there's this itch that it feels like, it's like, I want to go. I want to see everything. Oh, I want to do that. I want to try this. And, I want to experience everything. But on the flip side, I think that you were also very much thinking about how it is that you make money, building your career, whether you work for an organization or some company. If you have your own business, it feels as though you're also at the same time that you're thinking that you want to see the world. It's like, well, how can I build here? How can I establish myself in whatever industry it is that I'm in? How do I become a leader in my field? How do I build something that has a legacy, longevity, that's more stable than, what I've had so far? What does this next step of building look like for me? And so I feel as though throughout 2022 and coming into 2023, there's this desire to sort of mix everything together like you would a recipe, right? It has pretty, for the most part, unless you a Southern mama, then, you have these recipes that have specific amounts of ingredients and you mix this and you put it in like that and this much of that and you blend it together and everything comes out wonderful. So I think that you're trying to find that perfect recipe on how to live your dream life from both a financial perspective and also from an experience perspective. And for many of you, I do think that those two things are not independent of each other, that there's this thought of how can I build my financial self and stability up to a place where I have the freedom to explore the world. How do I do both? So let's jump into some tarot and see what other messages we can get for my Sagittarius collective. And we're going to start first by looking at the major theme for the past year. And what we have for you is the Knight of Inspiration. So knights are messenger cards. And with this, the Knight of Inspiration is the Knight of Wands in traditional tarot. And it feels as though throughout the past year, you have been seeing things that have sort of turned on the light bulb over your head. Like you have had so many aha moments, Sagittarius. It feels unreal, but they're also very, very exciting. So it feels like you have spent the past year of your life just sort of with your eyes wide open almost as if you've taken the rose-colored glasses off and you're seeing things for what they are, but you're also curious about the possibilities of what could be. So I think that you've been spending a lot of time talking to and engaging with other people, listening to their stories, reading things, on the internet about entrepreneurs and how people built their life, and getting motivation and getting inspired from other people. So I don't even want to call it daydreaming, because it seems it's very intentional is what it feels like. And so Sagittarius, you have just been opening your mind to think about what it is that you want to do, and how, thinking through how you can do all of it. And we have the Queen of Materials to clarify, or the Queen of Pentacles. So the Queen of Pentacles is someone who is abundant in their own right. There's someone who is very focused on sort of the tangible, material, wealth-focused things, but also making sure that there's a strong foundation that they have on which to build. So they're all about expansion, lots and lots of stability. So I think between the two of these cards, with the Knight of Inspiration and the Queen of Pentacles, that a big theme for you for the past year has been figuring out how it is that you can get more stability and wealth, so that you can sort of follow your passion, so that you can get out into the world and explore. So something that you grew from over the past year, we have the Knight of Voices in reverse. And so Sagittarius, the Knight of Voices, or the Knight of Swords, is one of the most fickle knights in the tarot deck. It's a very in and out, it's a very unstable energy. And I think that for a lot of you, you got very tired of broken promises. It's almost as if you encountered people who were blowing smoke at you. And for a lot of Sagittariuses, I'm not going to lie, I do feel like this has to do with sort of romantic relationships, but those types of relationships where you get involved with someone, you start dating them, you start talking to them, and they have all of these big ideas, these big dreams. Oh yeah, we're going to travel here, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that. And then none of it ever comes to fruition. And it's almost as if you have gotten tired of getting your hopes up based on other people's words, and you're just kind of like, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna do this myself. Like, I'm good. Like, your word is garbage. It means absolutely nothing to me. And it's sort of the epitome of, if you want something done right, then you do it yourself. And so I feel like you're now in a position where if somebody's like, yeah, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, we're gonna do this, you're like, oh, okay, that's nice, dear. And you're gonna focus on how to do it yourself. We also have the 10 of Emotions in reverse, or the 10 of Cups in reverse. So again, I think that this was profound disappointment from the people around you not necessarily keeping their word. And I don't feel as though these were necessarily sort of friends. I think that this was a lot of different romantic interests that you may have had that they just didn't deliver on what it is that they said. Like, if they said that they were going to take you out for a nice steak dinner, it never happened. If they said, oh, I'm going to, get you tickets to a basketball game, we're going to go watch, that never happened. It's just like, damn, you're just talking. There's no follow up. There's no follow through for any of it. So I think that you grew from that disappointment, and that's sort of what compelled you to figure out how to strike out on this path on your own. So something that may have held you back a little bit, we have the 4 of Emotions in reverse. Now, the 4 of Cups, when it's upright, is about someone who is not seeing something, or they're refusing something, they're bored with something. And so I think that Sagittarius, because of your generally kind nature, I think that you were more accepting of things and people and situations than was actually good for you. So, spending time and energy on people who didn't honor their words, who didn't keep their commitments, I think took a lot of time and energy from you that could have been spent elsewhere. We also have the Muse of Inspiration, or the Page of Wands. So, I think getting excited about the little things that people would say, it's almost as if you got out a little bit ahead of your ski tips. I think that's the phrase for it. You got over your skis, something like that. But you know what I'm saying? You got overly excited without proof of concept. So, there are these people coming to you promising the moon and the stars and everything in between. And it's almost like, oh my God, this is so great. This is so great. It's going to happen. It's wonderful. It never happens. And then there's disappointment. So I think that instead of sort of, taking a beat and just waiting and see, you may have gotten a little bit overly invested in some people too fast before you actually saw what they were all about. So I think that was a bit of a challenge for you over the past year. Now, something that has brought you joy, I think we have the Emperor. So coming through 2022, going into 2023, I do think that your perspective has shifted, right? Because you went from this disappointment in people not keeping their word to focusing more on you and how you can build your own foundation and how you can keep your word to yourself and how you can have the absolute best of everything, where you can travel and you can expand in your career, where you can make sure that you are in a place where you can afford on a lot of different levels to have these experiences that other people promised you that didn't ultimately come to fruition. So with the Emperor card, it's someone who is very disciplined. They're very decisive. They're very strong. They are very, very capable. So I think that you have started to find that out about yourself, that you are capable of giving yourself these things that other people have not. And we also have that clarified by the Lovers. So the Lovers is an interesting card. It's typically interpreted in a romantic sense, but for me, in this case, it's just a connection that you have, a very loving, firm, sort of strong, and I'm feeling less passion than commitment. And I feel like this is you committing to yourself. I know that sounds terrible, but I'm not picking up somebody else's energy in this reading for you. It almost feels as though you have recommitted to yourself, that you have fallen back in love with yourself and this person that you have become. It's like, okay, no more blinders on. I need to do this. I'm not going to wait for someone else to bring me these experiences. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to keep my word on this. And so I think that you're, again, trying to find that secret sauce, that special blend about how to create your perfect life. So looking at something beautiful that you should acknowledge, something that you can look forward to, we have the Six of Voices. So this is the Six of Swords in traditional tarot, and it really represents someone moving from some rough waters from challenging times to things that are much calmer, that are much more even, that are way more fulfilling than what they've experienced before. So even though there was, I think, a little bit of a challenge in a little bit of self-modulation, I guess, and not getting overly excited or invested in others, that could have created some turmoil at some point. I do think that those days are coming to an end, that you are finding your peace, you are finding your footing. And we have that clarified by the Page of Emotions. So this is the Page of Cups. And pages are very young, inexperienced energies. So for my Sagittariuses, where these past romantic connections may have let you down, understand that as you grow, as you build, as you sort of figure out all of the components of your life that works for you, that allows you to be financially stable enough to travel, to have these experiences, as you figure out how to grow and build in your own stability, there may be someone coming in who wants to shoot their shot. But again, this is a very young, inexperienced energy. So don't be surprised if they're awkward. Make sure that you keep an eye out for them following through on their commitments or things that they say to you. Make sure that they are of their word. But there is someone hovering around who is interested in getting to know you a little bit better. I don't think that this is someone who's currently in your energetic space. I don't think that you've met them just yet. So how do you release the energy of the past year and move on? We have the Muse of Emotions. This is this is the Knight of Cups. I think that there should be an openness to getting to know other people, where I think, Saggies, you may have been closed off a little bit, giving so much of your time and energy and your love to yourself, which is never a bad thing. But it does feel like, based on these past disappointing experiences, you haven't really left a lot of room for anyone else to come in. And so we saw an opportunity here. But I think that going into 2023, it's going to be important for you to not completely close yourself off to the prospect of love. And that's not to say that you haven't sort of learned your lessons, or you're going to forget everything that you've experienced. That's not the case at all. But it feels like you can take the lesson and leave the bitterness or any nasty emotions associated with it in the past. And we have that clarified by the Nine of Inspiration in reverse. So the Nine of Wands is really the wounded warrior, right? There's someone who's been beat up. They're still standing, but they're not particularly energetic about life. And so I think that moving into 2023 is going to require that last little bit of healing, getting rid of that residual energy from people who have disappointed you, situations that were not followed through in terms of commitment. So, it's really about just releasing this baggage, releasing this energy, being open in a smarter way based on your past experiences, and getting out there and enjoying life. So, Saggies, that's what I got for you guys. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this reading, and I'll see you in the next one.